So the entire thing is about competency, competency mapping, competency dictionary, etc. Okay. Now, in the first session, what we are going to essentially talk about is just to understand competency, and I'm sure all of you know what is it because you're already working with it. Then we'll talk about the famous Iceberg model of competency, how we can relate with it, then the classification of competencies and how do we measure them, and then what is a competency dictionary and how do you go about making a competency dictionary, and also how do you integrate this competencies into your HR function. So what are the uses or what is the relevance and how do you use it as an HR tool? Having said that, in the session 2, we are going deeper, getting to know the frameworks. Then we start understanding how do we go about mapping competencies? What is the process of competency mapping? Then when you start mapping the competencies, how do we then classify them? Then how do we write those bars, those indicators, the entire science behind competency mapping? Then we go on to then talking about once the competencies are in place, then how do you assess whether these competencies, whether they are role specific or location specific or unit specific? Now, comprising of the organization, are they there in my employees? So how do we assess them? How do we go about evaluating them? So we actually find out the gaps in terms of whether we want to use it for learning and development, OD initiatives, or whether we want to hire and use it for recruitment. So we will look at the assessment center and the development centers. Okay. And then having said that, then in the last session, we are going to look at something which most of the organizations use today to ensure that there is, the right kind of fitment happens, the right kind of hire happens. We look at BEI, that is behavioral event interviewing and competency based interviewing. So we look at the entire science of what is the BEI, what is the competency based interviewing, how do we go about that, and then what are some of the things you need to do, preparations, prerequisites, and what is the role of an assessor, how do you give a feedback, and if you are actually doing it for an interview, do you really give a feedback? So such like things. Okay, so it really covers the entire thing, right from job-based competencies to what does the individual have, and then assess them and ensure that, hey, are they the right fit, or do they need, are there any gaps, or do they need some kind of a development? So that covers the entire competency mapping, development centers, and competency dictionary, etc. Okay, so that I think combined, it takes care of all the expectations of all the participants. Have I left out anything, guys? Any something which we have left out? I think typically it covers the entire, takes into consideration the all the participants' expectations, right? Okay.
Yes, madam. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the tools, as we go along, you will also look at a lot of tools. Okay. So in this session, as I said, somebody was, Sumit, you wanted to say something?
No, it's absolutely fine.
Okay. So in this session, what we are going to do, the session is about, it's about 3 hours session. So we'll have a small break after an hour and a half, which is about 10 minutes bio break. So in the first session, that is in the first half, what we are going to do is understand what is competency. Then we will look at types of competencies. We'll look at relevance of competencies, use of competencies, etc. After we come back, then we will look at a very, very important document, which is called Competency Dictionary. And you will be given an exercise to do competency dictionary. So you will be required to actually do some amount of practical work in the area of competency dictionary. Okay, guys. So there we go without any further ado. All right. First of all, let me just, So since we're all talking about competency, first of all, as Stephen Covey says, begin with the end in mind. Why do you think we want to do, all of you are going to invest so much of time today and in the next 4 sessions, 3 hours each, and a lot of reading to be done? Why do you think all of you have become now very conscious of the fact that hey, competency mapping is very important? We want to do all this. What is the relevance to the organization? Anybody? That's how I think you will learn a lot more. Yeah. Anybody?
See, nowadays, what happened is with the rapidly changing the business and the business challenges, we find that Gen X is coming with the very typical kind of competencies, which is not matching with the business. Most of the time, we do hiring, which is accidental hiring, we say, or opportunist hiring, we say that just to fill up the people immediately. That was the pressure always from business. And in due course of time, we come to know that, oh my God, now we have a pool of people where we have to do certain development program for them to deliver. Because which was the dynamic of the business keep changing. And the manpower is not changing in that speed, which will deliver the expectation of the business. And that gap, we found it. And that is why I think we have to now again start working. Really, do we have the gap and how to minimize that gap? That was my expectation.
Okay, so just to summarize what you mentioned, and also for others to understand, saying that you are saying when organizations scale up, okay, when organizations scale up, essentially when organizations are scaling up, that means what? They're increasing their numbers, they're increasing their workforce. At that point of time, somehow, your view is that we are not really looking into, hey, are they the right fit? Or are they coming with the right kind of competencies for those jobs? In fact, we tend to look at just closing of numbers within a particular time, so that from the HR perspective, hey, if I'm a recruiter, I've closed the numbers. I don't care about quality. I don't care about whether there's a right fit, etc. So now that has an impact in terms of productivity. That has an impact in terms of revenue, etc. So have I echoed you right? So you are saying,
no, that was the very 80% what you said is okay. But what happened? No, in due course of time, there are 10 years of manpower, 9 years of manpower associated with the organization. They are very much in comfort zone with delivering the same thing. And you know that every year we have reward and recognition, and cost is of going up and up. But the delivery part is remain same in next 10 years or 5 years. And now that is not matching.
Excellent.
And
the point you have also made a very valid point is that when a person is there working for a number of years, the wage cost is going up. Okay, but he has not upskilled himself. He has not actually increased his competencies along with the changing times. So he is doing work in the way he has been doing, producing the same kind of productivity. So therefore, in essence, the ROI is actually not increasing, but decreasing. Okay?
Absolutely.
All right. Great. Anybody else, guys?
Yeah, in my view, as a matter of my experience, I have realized over a period of time, knowledge and skill is not sufficient. And one more thing, which is the behavior, which counts for the superior performance actually. Because a lot of people who are having good knowledge and experts in their domain area, even though companies fired them because their behavior is not good, they are arrogant, they are rude, and their interpersonal relationship with the people is not good. They are not able to work in a team. So apart from the hiring and scaling up of the organization, this is the basic problem which most of the organizations are. People who have a good pedigrees, even from IIT, but their behavior is not good. They don't value the people. They thought that whatever the knowledge they have, the skill they have, they should be respected in the organization. They don't, even on the other side, they don't respect other people. So it has been realized that those people who are at the leadership positions, they have reached because of their their good behavior. So it has been said because of your ability, because of your knowledge and skill.
Okay.
But
Okay.
to keep at that level, your character and behavior counts a lot. Over a period of 20 years, I feel like that.
Okay. So if I were to just echo you, you are saying that as people grow from an entry level or from a mid level, as they keep growing in hierarchy to higher and higher positions of leadership. So at an
Yeah.
entry or a start level, your requirement is only knowledge and skills. Okay. But
Yes.
as you keep, because the job is only related around that, but as you keep going up, it is not just the job, because it becomes complex in terms of your leadership, your behavioral skills become much more important, because you have to manage a team.
Yes.
Or maybe you have to exercise leadership, you have to collaborate with different stakeholders, both internal and external, bring in consensus. So it is less of knowledge and skill and more of those behavioral competencies. So in essence, you are saying that,
Exactly.
it's competencies are becoming very, very important, because as you keep growing, there might be another set of competencies, like for example, the behavioral competencies, the leadership competencies, or the business acumen competencies. So they keep changing in terms of proportion, because knowledge and skill gets reduced. Okay, well taken. But yes, we'll go back to this. So, but all of you have emphasized that yes, people, you need to upskill, you need to have better competencies, or for example, we have to hire the right kind of people with the right competencies. And Anshu was mentioning about the people lacking leadership competencies or behavioral competencies as you keep growing higher up in your hierarchy. Now, but yes, having said that, but the end of it, why do you think it has become so? What is the impact? If you have them, what is the impact? You said it's important, but what is the impact? What is the outcome?
Right man on the right job.
Yes, I agree, but result. If I don't have, what will happen?
Of course. Yeah, definitely. The moment we have right thing, right place, everything is right, definitely my bottom line will increase.
So that means when you have the competencies, okay, across the organizations with in all the jobs, then what happens? The organization as such increases its capability, increases its productivity, increases its revenue. Now today, so having said that and having gathered all the viewpoints of our, all of you, competency has gained currency, not now, in the last 2 decades. Okay, why? Because the market has changed, the dynamics have changed, right? Customer has become very aggressive, customer has become very demanding, and at the same time you need to keep into consideration the fact that any organization which produces its products and services, now they are also not its quality, its cost, and its speed. Okay, so having said that, now you cannot say that I have all the resources, I have all the capital, and I'm going to produce. So therefore, you need to also produce the highest quality with minimal wage cost, which is highly competitive, so that you are able to differentiate and have a competitive advantage. So if you want to drive competitive advantage, the only thing you need to have, which is very, very important, is that are you having the right competencies embedded in your employees? Because if you have the right competencies across your organization, then predictability of increasing your productivity is there. Predictability, I said. I didn't say absolutely 1 + 1 is 2. So you can predict that you will have superior performance. In fact, there have been a lot of studies which actually have done a lot of research, and whenever you do any study, there is something called, I'm using a word, criteria validity. I will just use that board. Criteria validity. So why I'm emphasizing this is that, yeah. So what we are talking about is criteria validity. Criteria validity. That means if you have the competencies, then which are actually independent variables, then you can be assured, you can predict the outcome, the results, which is increasing productivity, business outcome, which is called the dependent variable. Okay. So as we go along and we talk about competencies, and very, very important to understand the frameworks, let us also understand that the presence of competencies will definitely ensure you predictability of superior performance. When you talk about competencies, this classic iceberg model comes into picture. I'm sure all of you have seen it 100 times. A lot of you are so seasoned professionals that you know this iceberg model of competency, what it is, etc. But at the same time, why do we use this metaphor? And I want to elicit some kind of views from you. So when we talk about competency as an iceberg model, just want to give you the sense of, especially iceberg, when I say 20 parts is above the water and 80 parts is below the water. Can you see that? Yeah.
Yes.
So, but why do we say iceberg? Why do we use this metaphor for competency? Can anybody say? Why I'm also going digging in basics, because then you are able to connect faster. Yeah. Yes,
yeah, in my view, whatever we can see is the knowledge and skill, and there is a lot below that which we are not able to see. Even in a lifetime of a people, we are not able to evaluate all these things. So that is why the lower portion is bigger, and the spread is bigger, and the visible part we can see only. And in the interviews and whatever the assessment we can see easily and evaluate the top portion, knowledge and skill. So this is what we need to see actually.
Okay.
So that may be.
So we use typically this metaphor. That means, we kind of say, hey, this is competency is in an iceberg. So let us understand the definition of a competency, what it means. What is a competency? First of all, it's an underlying characteristic of any individual. When I say underlying characteristic, that means it is deeply embedded inside, okay, of any individual. Now,
individual part
of any individual, which is causally, please note this, which is causally means it is causally related to, which creates cause and effect. That is, the presence of the competency will give you the result. The absence of the competency will not give you the result. That's why it says causally related, okay, to superior performance. So I will explain this criteria a little later, but first of all, just understand that competency is an underlying characteristic which is deeply embedded, okay, and causally related to superior performance in a job or a situation, okay. What is this criteria reference? That means you can actually validate, saying that if a sales guy has this negotiation skill competency, selling competency, then he is able to sell higher numbers. That means you are able to actually then create a criteria saying that, hey, we can actually then show that there is validity in terms of saying that, yes, the number of sales will go up if he has this X competency. Or simpler, most of our HR people, say for example, you have a counselor in your HR department. I'm sure Anshu has a counselor there. Huh?
Yeah.
What does a counselor do? He will actually counsel your employees, right?
Yes.
Whether it is mental issues or any conflicts or anything, he will. Now, when I say criteria referenced, if he has this counseling skills, and for counseling skills, there is a very important behavior which is required, empathy. Empathy, right? If he has, so that person will be able to resolve or mentor or coach more number of employees. That means resolutions will become zero. Very clear? So that is what it says when I say a competency. Now, a competency, let us just go back to this. It has what? Skill, knowledge. It has self-concept, traits, and motives. So these are the components of a competency. Now, as rightly stated, skill and knowledge, Anshu was mentioning that, I can see them, they're on the top. But what I can't see, even in my whole life, is something really deep down, right down, dark blue. That means at the rock bottom of the sea. Okay. Now, guys, the most interesting fact I want to really want you to relate it. Whatever we do here is all related to this deep down what is there. You agree?
Yes, agree.
Yes.
If
Yes.
you are attending this session on competency mapping, there is something deep down what I have written here as motive. Motive. Now, this motive is what, that means motivation, I could also say, but it has driven you. Then what did he say? It was able to select a behavior, saying on a Sunday, I could have slept nicely, had heavy lunch, and I could have slept. But no, it has then made you select the behavior, saying that no, I have to attend this session. So it's a intrinsic motivator, right? There is this motive to go and attend. Now, some of you may have, organization has said, if you have competency mapping certification, as a part of cross skill or upskill, I'm going to give 10,000 rupees additional incentive as a part of reward and recognition. That could have extrinsic motivator. So that could have also come in picture, and somebody would have said, hey, I want to actually attend this program because my organization is giving me a reward. So you do things internal, which is driving intrinsic motivator. You do things because there are extrinsic motivators, right? So motive is what is deep at the bottom, which drives you, selects your behavior. It makes you do things, okay, which you really can't see. Now, Anshu said here, we can't even make out what it is. In interviews, we use the same method of interviewing for skill and knowledge, and also to understand traits and motives. Now, can we use the same yardstick or a same tool to measure something which is easily observable or easily tested, as opposed to something which is deep down, which cannot be tested? We have to use different instruments and different tools. You getting me? Now, to test motives, there are a lot of psychometric tests. Like, for example, there's a very popular, I'm sure all of you have heard about it. There is something like a TAT test. Thematic approach test. There is projection test.
Yes.
Wherein you are able to understand, hey, is he a person who has a high need for power? Has a high need for affiliation? Or need for achievement? Now, if I have mapped certain role along with the extrinsic motivators, there is also high, I want to take people who have a high need for affiliation and at the same time achievement, and this person doesn't care achievement, doesn't care affiliation, all that I need is power. Misfit. So sometimes we can use those tests to find out deep down what is the need. So typically when we talk about the intrinsic motivators, there are only three kinds of needs: affiliation, power, and achievement. Okay. Now, as we go along, I'll be talking more about it and fitting it into your, practical way on a day-to-day basis, how you're going to use it. Now, let us come to traits. What are traits? Anybody? What are traits? Quick, guys. Let me find out where are the others. What are traits?
Yeah, traits are the
Yeah, can I have more? Pallavi?
Time management.
Example? Example?
Time management.
Transaction.
Can you give me a simple example like, listening is a trait.
कैरेक्टर्स के बारे में है, वो कमर्शियल पार्ट नहीं आता है कभी एचआर में.
Can you please mute? Attention to detail is a trait. Attention to detail. Why? Some of them, you don't, when you have to plan, a lot of people don't have attention to details. Okay. Now, why are traits? First of all, how do traits form? Traits take a long time to form because these are something very, very personal. They can't be transferred. Can you transfer these traits? Anshu
No.
may be having a certain trait which can't be transferred to Sumit.
Yes.
Right? Because
Yes.
they have taken a long time.
Long time.
The way
to
you
grow.
have been brought up, the way you have, been groomed, the kind of injunctions, you have been given, and how your personality has developed. So traits take a long time. Now, why are they important in the dictionary of competencies? Now, there are certain jobs which require certain traits.
Traits.
For example, again, because I've spoken already, empathy is actually a personal trait. Okay. It can be trained. Nothing is impossible, but it takes a longer time. Can you wait for such a long time? Okay. So it's better to hire the person with the right trait because that's going to be a differentiator. That's going to give you increased productivity. Are you getting me? A payroll person. What is one of the trait which you think it's very, very critical for that role? Anybody?
Calculations.
Analytical.
Somebody said calculation. Can't I learn that calculation? I'll take 1 month. You may take 3 months. Somebody will take months. You can learn, right? Calculation. But a trait in payroll, the guy who does payroll,
Detail observation.
who operates software.
Detail
Ninu?
observation.
Ninu, you are mentioning something? This guy, if you know, tell me, Anshu, in your help desk, payroll help desk, the guy, how many people come to complain about their payroll mistakes?
Very few.
Very few. Oh, good.
Yeah.
So that means you have a right guy there. So
Yeah.
what happens for a payroll guy, there are so many components, lots of pay, people have gone on this. So he has to have attention for detail. If he does not have attention for detail, it is very difficult for him to make 0 number of mistakes. And imagine that's directly correlated with the employee satisfaction, because if you don't get your salary, right kind of a salary, and you've been deducted more than what you have taken or something, he will say, what is this? Yeah, it pinches him. And therefore, he is not happy then. Getting me? So trade takes a longer time. So what the organization say, for example, in a forest, there is this tortoise, what's a tortoise, no? It goes in the water, and then there is a squirrel. What does tortoise do? It swims in the water. And what does a rabbit do? It climbs the trees. So for example, I have to select an animal which has to swim faster in the water. Will I train squirrel to actually swim, or will I take a tortoise?
Good.
I'll take a tortoise. And if I want an animal to climb the tree, will I give training to tortoise to climb the tree, or will I take a squirrel? It's better to hire a squirrel, right? It's better to hire a squirrel because it has a natural trait to quickly climb the tree.
Okay.
Guys, likewise, in our organizations, think of it. Most of the time you are recruiting people where a squirrel is required, will recruit a tortoise. Because A, we don't know what competencies are required for that particular job. Are you getting me? So when we do not know what key competencies and what trait is involved in that, then we are not able to recruit, evaluate, hire for the right candidate. So traits are very important. Not that it is difficult to train them. So therefore, when you in fact do this, what I call as job element analysis for every job before competency mapping, you have to look at what is the differentiator, threshold and differentiator. Okay, because if you look at those differentiators, that's where then a person is able to hire the right candidate, because I don't want to train a person take a long time. For example, I will give you another example. Say, for example, I'm working for a vertical. If some of you are in the healthcare, because I've been working in the healthcare for the last 15 years. So there is this very interesting vertical called medical coding. Okay. Now in medical coding, where you're doing high level of technology is required and high level of communication skills is required. Why? Because you are interacting and interfacing with physicians and doctors abroad, because the business was all coming from US. Now, if I were to and this process had high attrition. Now, if I were to recruit, what will be the differentiator? In the sense, what should I look for? First of all, ensure that competency is there between technical skills, high-end technical skills and high-end communication skills. Quick.
Assertive person.
Huh?
Assertive person.
No. I asked about, I think I said, I need 2 competencies, high level of technological skills and high end of communication skills. That means my verbal skills, the communication, spoken skills, everything has to be really very, very good. If I have to recruit a entry level candidate, what will I look for? Ensure that it's a must to have. And what will I say? It's nice to have.
Communication.
Right. Absolutely. Shall I tell you?
Communication.
Business
Absolutely.
communication.
All of you are right. Because we had high attrition. What did we do? We took excellent people in communication, but average in technology, put them through a boot camp for 3 months and gave them all the technical skills. Because technical skills is easy to catch, easy to learn, as opposed to communication skills. Because in communication skills, it's in a lifelong process. You have to read a lot, you have to understand. You can't quickly train them in communication skills in 3 months or 6 months. Okay, absolutely right, guys. All right. Now, again, if you see a little about the traits, there is something very, very clearly written here is self-concept. Now, what is self-concept? The way I see myself. Now, when I say self-concept is directly related with self-esteem. Whether I have high self-esteem or a low self-esteem, again, you have to go back to all the way you've been brought up, your childhood, etc. Now, you may say, but why the hell? Why do I care for self-concept? I'm not interested. But guys, if you know that self-concept is also related with the social role, the leadership roles, because as you keep growing up, the hierarchy, it is just not sufficient to have knowledge and skill. The self-concept comes into place, the kind of self-esteem you have in place, because that person will be what? He'll be respecting others, right? He will have what? Better human relation skills, because it's like, what? I am good, you are good. I will not feel belittled. So self-concept is very, very important. How do I see myself? Only when I rate myself very good and high self-esteem, I'll be able to also give the same kind of a feeling to others. Okay. Now, having said that, I don't want to get into too much of theory, guys. Why I wanted to take a little more time here is saying that how important it becomes to understand that when I say competency, it is not skill. It is just not knowledge. It is just not a motive, but a combination of everything. But having said that, a certain competency may have more of skill. A certain competency may have just a combination of skill, knowledge. Okay. So it's a combination, but it may have certain proportions higher and certain proportions lower. Okay. So we will quickly run through because we have something very interesting to catch up on. Okay. Yeah. So we will share all this to you because all this definitions as well. So not an issue at all. So as I said, when you are hiring, you actually look for those traits and motives required as per the competencies because they form the core and they cannot be developed easily. Whereas if you have a gap in knowledge, you can easily fill that gap. If you have a gap in skill, you can quickly learn. But if these you are lacking in traits and motives, etc., it takes a longer time to train them. It becomes almost impossible. Now, I must also just show you this a slide to emphasize the fact that why are competencies important? There is a cause and an effect relationship. Okay, there's a cause and a effect relationship. That means if you are very high on the achievement motivation, what will you do? Your behavior will actually showcase that you are a person who will set goals, who will take responsibility, who will take feedback, who will also take all the kind of calculated risks. And then what is the outcome on the job performance? It will be really good in terms of productivity, in terms of quality, in terms of continuous improvement. Okay, this is for achievement motivation. If a person is very high on affiliation, what kind of a behavior can you see? Or what will be the behavior? Quick. Ninu, you want to? Pallavi?
Aggressive.
Murti, yes?
Aggressive.
No. I said a person who will be very high on affiliation. That means affiliation means
Okay.
closer to people.
Hmm.
An HR person has to be high on affiliation.
Correct.
That means he has to actually build bonds. He has to have good interpersonal relationships. I have to understand. I have to listen. I have to take feedback from people because I want to be really close and understand people. Got it? And if you are an HR manager, obviously it will then on the job performance in terms of you are able to actually bring consensus building because you will be dealing with a lot of stakeholders. HR is only a facilitator. You will be doing finance guy, operation guy, technology guy, everything, right? Okay,
Yes.
guys. Having said that, I also talked about when you're talking about motivators, there are intrinsic motivators and extrinsic motivators. Okay, intrinsic means they're driven by your own core, but extrinsic means externally organizations give you what, a bonus or a perk or a car, or a credit, what is that, club memberships, etc., so that all these reward and recognition schemes to ensure that you are motivated to work, all these benefits and perks. But you also have to be intrinsically motivated. Otherwise, what happens? To what extent, you keep on getting extrinsic motivators, but if you don't have intrinsic motivation, then the person will really not be motivated or passionate about, what he is doing. And I'm sure all of you, if you're working in HR, you will see a lot of people, they get all perks, benefits, there's a limit, yet they are not motivated because they're not passionate about. Okay. Yeah. So having said that, I'm not getting into the history of it, but I want to give you a nice, very interesting exercise which you have already got. Guys, can you open that exercise? 1 second. Vilma has actually shared that with you, if I recall.
Can you see it?
I'm sharing.
Yeah.
You have opened it, is it? I'm
Yes.
opening it. Acha, then I will close mine. Huh?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Guys, can you all open this? Now, what is the exercise? Can you scroll down a little? Yeah. I want you all to take just about 10 minutes or 15 minutes so that you have a very good understanding about this is a self-assessment. It's an independent exercise. All that you need to do is, I will do the lead just for one. You have to identify, okay, this attribute which is there in the serial number, whether it pertains to a value or a skill or a behavior. Now, I want to say when you stick behavior, you have to check, is it observable? Okay, is it observable? Now, you know what is a skill, the ability to do something, right? And a value. For example, appraisal. That means I'm doing, say, annual increment appraisals, etc. So there are a lot of things in it. It is a skill. So likewise, I want you to tick quickly. You can open your document. If you don't have, then Vilma can actually send it across to you. So please tick all these. I think there are about, how many are there? So please tick them, whether it pertains to value or a skill or a behavior. Sometimes you feel that it's also a skill, it's also a behavior. Then you can tick both. Okay. So we will take just about 10 minutes, guys. Good enough?
Okay.
Okay.
Done, guys? Just give me a thumbs up when you are done. Done, Pallavi? Okay.
Yeah, done.
Done? Okay. So I will, Dilma?
Yes, done.
Yes,
Yeah, will you just put up the scoring key or shall I do it?
you have the scoring key.
Yeah, I have it. Yeah, so you can, okay. 1 second, I'm just,
It's done.
just a minute. Yeah, you are able to see, guys?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, appraisal. Obviously, I said skill. Yeah, anybody? Body language?
Behavior.
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 Okay. Coaching?
It's a skill.
Skill.
Skill. So there is no two opinions about it. Commitment?
Values.
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 Everybody has
Yeah,
same thing,
values.
value?
Commitment is a value as well as a behavior also.
Because sometimes you are doing, but commitment tends more towards, if you have it as a value, then you will be doing all that. You getting me? Huh? So it's more towards a value. Only if you are a person who's committed. Because sometimes people, they can't be just, you will see that, it's deep there. It's a kind of a value. Confidentiality?
Value.
The value.
Yeah. Counseling?
Skill.
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 Courtesy?
Value.
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 Customer care?
Skill.
Behavior.
Data facility?
Skill.
Skill.
It's a skill and also it's a behavior.
Behavior.
Okay. Decisiveness,
Is behavior.
It's a behavior.
detail handling. It's like, eye for detail.
Behavior.
It's a
Driving for quality.
Behavior again.
Behavior as well as values also.
values also.
Quality can also be a value.
Yes.
Absolutely. Environmental awareness,
It's a value.
Value.
equal opportunities,
Value.
Value.
honesty,
Value.
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 integrity. So it is down below. I just thought. Influencing,
Value.
It's a skill.
Skill.
Influencing is a skill.
initiating action.
Skill.
Sumit, initiating action.
Its number is
Behavior.
17.
It is behavior also.
Behavior.
Behavior. Integrity is a value.
Value.
Interviewing,
Skill.
It is a
Skill.
skill.
judgment.
It's a behavior.
Skill
Behavior.
again.
Absolutely, absolutely. Managing meetings,
Skill.
Skill.
mentoring,
The skill.
Skill.
negotiating,
Skill.
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 performance review,
Skill.
Skill.
persuasiveness.
So,
Behavior.
It's a behavior actually.
Absolutely. Planning,
The behavior.
Planning skill.
How
Planning is a
persiveness go to behavior?
Planning is the skill.
Nirmala?
planning is a behavior because you can observe it. Planning and
But how-
organizing, okay, you can also take it as a skill, but typically planning is something you're doing. You can observe. Presenting,
No, but if you don't, now,
But- but it's a skill
hello?
as well as a behavioral issue.
yeah. So I was mentioning that it can be a skill also. It is also behavior. Presenting or
Presenting
presentation
Presenting
skills,
is skill.
skill.
Presenting skill.
problem solving skills,
Again, it's skill.
yeah. Project management skills,
Skill.
Skill.
skills. It's not a behavior, project management skills, I said.
Skill.
It's a skill.
Yeah,
Quality consciousness, quality is a
It's
value.
Valid.
Reliability
Value.
is a
Skill.
value. Selling is a
Selling is
Skill.
skill.
Skill. Selling is skill.
sensitivity.
It's a behavior.
Behavior.
Strategic planning is a,
Skill.
Strategic planning is a skill.
yeah. Stress tolerance,
It's a behavior.
yeah.
Behavior.
Team working can also be a skill and is also
Skill as well as behavior.
time management.
Skill.
It's a skill.
Great, guys. I think we had everybody 100 upon 100, and there was not much of a difference of
Conflict.
either, right? Great. So all of you can.
I have only,
I hope you got everything right.
yeah, only I wanted to know about persiveness. They said it is behavior, right?
Ah.
And
No. Persuasiveness is like
Is a skill.
you are doing, you are
Skill and-
persuading the person, you are doing something, right? It's a behavior.
Mainly it is
no,
behavior.
but don't you think that skill
But
will
if
also
I
require to
say
do a
persuasive skills, because in lot of things you are using, see, when you're doing influencing skills, you are also using persuasiveness, right? So that's why I said
yeah.
there might be a tie between a skill and a behavior also sometimes. It depends in the context. It depends on the context. Okay.
During negotiation also these persuasive skills is required.
Pardon?
During the negotiation also this skill is required.
Absolutely.
This
Absolutely.
behavioral.
You are able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Now I won't show that. Having understood competencies, now, where all do you think we can use competencies in our HR function? Where all can we use HR in our HR function? Where can you use competencies and how can you integrate? Where can you integrate? In which function can you integrate in your HR function?
See, comp and benefit, with my views, comp and benefit, and thereafter training and development, and recruitment and
Okay,
selection.
so we'll stay with it. Murthy said compensation and benefit. Absolutely. In today's times, pay for competencies. So you are able to integrate these competencies with higher competencies. You can also use it in compensation. Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
We can use it in the recruitment and selection. We can use it for the PMS. We can use it for the development and for the promotion and succession planning also. Because if we have a right
Absolutely.
people,
Function we can use.
we can promote the
Integrate.
right people.
Absolutely. So by understanding the and knowing what kind of competencies are required for a particular job, you can use it for recruitment. By understanding the gaps in terms of competencies, you can use it for training and development. By evaluating the how did he perform, we can evaluate and use it in performance management, right? So in essence, you can use competency framework for all your HR functions. We can integrate it. Now, having said that, guys, I want to tell you that today, when we are talking about competencies, essentially, can I use the board?
Nirmala, I have a query.
Yeah.
Yeah, how we can use a competency in induction?
One second. Okay. So before you ask that question, I will just want to clarify one thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we are setting the context and quickly getting into things. So far what we have actually want to give you a small recap that we understood. Hey, the definition of competency, what it is made up of, knowledge, skill, traits, motive, self-concept. We understood all that. Now, when we are saying competency, there are certain competencies in Pallavi. There are certain competencies in Sumit. There are certain competencies in Anshu, right? First. But here, when we are talking about competency mapping, competency dictionary, what are we talking about? We are talking about, so there are not the person-based competencies. Okay, but here we are now talking about job-based
Competencies.
competencies. Are you getting me? Okay. The elements of a competency don't differ. That's why I had to take you through what is a competency. But when we are talking about an organization, when we are talking about the jobs in an organization, okay, the roles in an organization or in a function. So we are now going to talk everything about what are those competencies which are required at a role level, okay, at a departmental level, at a, okay, unit level, at a functional level, right? So when we map competencies at a role level or a functional level, this is called competency mapping. Are you getting me now clear? Competency can be there in a person or a job. But when we are talking about competency mapping, essentially we are talking about all those competencies which are required at a role level or a job location level, at a functional level, or on the whole at an organization level. What are those competencies? So we are actually looking at job-based competencies. Got it, guys? Job-based competencies. And when we are going to do the mapping of these competencies, it is called competency mapping. Now, having said that, before we break, let me introduce you to the a little bit of the competency architecture, and then we can break. Okay. So now we are coming to, first of all, we'll talk about. So you understood what is competency mapping typically, which we will learn. Now, what is this competency architecture? Anybody? What is the meaning of, everybody wants to go back. Anshu said, where is Anshu? He has actually closed off his video.
I'm here.
He said he wants to go back and do competency mapping. So before we do competency mapping, competency dictionary, we have to understand, when you make a house, you want to know the architecture, no? You want to know the design, the plan, etc. So what does it mean when I say competency architecture? Anybody? So when I say competency architecture, when I say architecture means design. When you're going to build a house, you will go to an architect to design and plan a house. You won't start making foundation and start building the walls, because you have to make a plan for it. So when you are saying I want to do competency mapping and I want to do a competency dictionary, first of all, you have to understand your competency architecture. Okay. Now, when you're talking about a competency architecture, it also depends on, one, your business strategy, right? Then two, what is the stage at which you are there, the life cycle of the organization? For example, it can be at a formation, it can be at a growth stage, it can be at a maturity, or it can be at a decline stage. You have to understand, no? Where am I? First of all, okay. Now, having said that, then you will say it's like a building. your foundation, think of a house. The foundation is the core competencies. What is it? Can you see this? Are the core competencies. Typically, who will actually be a person who will be deeply involved and define the core competencies? The founders, right? Who they will say, hey, I want to build my organization based on this vision and values and all that. So they become the core competencies. So that is the bedrock. That is the foundation. They are called core competencies. For example, I will take simple examples like, okay, everybody is familiar with a company called Google. So the founders, what did they say? The founders said, hey, you know, I always thought when I was wanting to work, I wanted a lot of space to be very initiative and creative. Right? So Google's one of its core competencies is what? Creativity. Innovation. Now, tell me any other values of your organization, which is your core competency? Anybody? Tata says integrity. Okay?
Customer focus.
Opportunities for both men and women. Respect for each other. So when I say there are certain values, then what do? I will live them by translating them into what I will see them into, not just put them as big frames. No, they will be there in my policies. I will live it. Amazon says, what is Amazon's one of its core competencies and also value? Amazon says, in the middle of the night, you will get up and say, hey, I have to buy that. You will just click it and say, anything, anytime, anywhere. No? Anything, anytime, anywhere. Now to live that, think of it, how they have to do, what kind of a competencies they have to look at. So that's how these core competencies drive everything. Any one competency from your own organization, guys? Core competency?
Yeah, as we are in baking business, so our major competency, we have 5 values over there. One is ethical, thereafter collaboration, then passionate about baking for tomorrow. These are the basic 3 values what normally we run our entire organization.
These days, Mahindra is talking about one of their values, rise.
Rise, yeah.
How they are able to translate all that into their, culture. So how these core competencies also get translated into culture. Now, core competencies also take from the kind of what I call it as, go-to strategy, or whether you are focusing on product development, whether you are focusing on operational efficiency, or whether you are focusing on customer delight. For example, I'll say Talbros. One of their core value will be operational efficiency. You agree?
Yeah.
Operational.
Yes.
So that if you put it like, I want to be very operational efficient, it doesn't happen, no? It has to be translated into all your processes and policies and everything, so that, everything in your standing operating procedures, everything. So that means your competency framework will be driven down with that operational efficiency. Why? Because you want to increase productivity, you want to have high quality, you want to, deliver to the customer, at the right time with high speed, right? So it will be operational efficiency. For a person who's into product development, lot of innovation and creativity. So you are able to understand, right? What is core competency? That becomes your bedrock. That becomes your foundation. So when you say core competency, it has to be there in across all the levels, across all the jobs. So there will be 1 or 2 core competencies, irrespective of whatever job you are, top to bottom, it has to be present in everybody. But the intensity could be different. Okay, because in the way the job is embedded, so therefore the core competency will be, the intensity will be to that extent. Now next we'll talk about on the floor. These are all leadership competencies. Are you getting me? Your house, the roof will be leadership competencies. All the rooms, they will be all functions: production, finance, HR, facility, then what is it, procurement. So all of them will have functional competencies with their, or you can also call them job families. I'm sure everybody is familiar with job families, right? What is a job family? Just for clarification, you want me to explain what is a job family? Guys, job family is nothing but function. Okay? If you look at your HR books, so what, when we say job family means HR is a job family. Finance is a job family. So every family or every function will have their own competencies. Right? HR as such will have its own competencies. Finance will have its own competencies. Now, once you have decided on those job family competencies, now those jobs which are at different career levels. What does career level mean? Different hierarchies. Because you are closer to HR, I'll talk about HR. HR is a job family. Now, in that family, now what will happen? You will have an entry level, maybe an HR specialist. Then you will have at a mid level, maybe a senior specialist or an HR manager. You will have at a mid level, maybe a general manager or a director. Then you will have a top level, you will have an HR head, CHRO or VP. Now, you may have set of competencies for the entire HR, right? But they will then cascade down at different intensity levels or at different proficiency levels. Did you get me? Have I made myself very clear? Now I'll show you that as well. So when we talk about competency architecture, we have to actually then think about, plan about saying, if this is my organization with this kind of a business strategy and at this stage of a life cycle, so what is the vision? What are the values? Because they drive your core competencies. Then you are looking at all the job families, which give you all the specific competencies and then the leadership competencies. So competencies can be core competencies, as I said, they can be teamwork. Like for example, if I'm a company, service-oriented company, and obviously I'm a very client-focused, so that becomes my value. Okay. So I've written here some of the examples of core competencies like teamwork, client focus, achieving excellence. Okay. Then technical competencies there could be. Then you can have leadership competencies, etc. Now, typically, it can look like this. For example, say, for example, there is a company, XYZ company. Okay. Project assistant reports to project manager. Can you, all of you see, if you want me to make it bigger? Can you see this?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Fine, it is fine.
Okay.
Perfect.
Now, so what are the core competencies here?
Achievement orientation.
For the, this is the for the project assistant who is reporting into project manager, achievement orientation, adaptability, and client focus. Okay. Now, should they be there, these core competencies in project manager also? Yes. But proficiency level will differ because he is doing different responsibilities and different nature of the job is different because he has different responsibilities. So the levels are lower and for a higher job, the levels are higher. Now, when it comes to the job family competencies, These are the competencies which will be again similar. Analytics, communication, project planning. So here only level 1, level 2, level 1, level 3, level 3, level 3. Now when we talk about job specific, what are the job specific competencies for project assistant? Anybody? Quality focus and teamwork, because he is actually doing work where there has to be quality focus. But project manager has a different level of work. So his specific competencies which belong to that job are project risk management and resource management. So what am I trying to say? If you are an HR, for example, no, I'm so sorry, I'm taking Anshu because I know his designation. He's a CHRO, he is an HR head. So what will happen if I'm looking at his competency framework and his senior manager's competency framework? His core competencies will be the same, but he will have a higher level and his subordinate will have a lower level. Job family competencies will be the same. Again, proficiency level will be different, but job specific competencies will be different. Are you clear about that? Every job has a specific competencies depending on the nature of the job it has, or what does it accomplish, or what is the outcome, or what does it need to achieve. Okay, guys? So you have to be very clear because you're going to do an exercise on this. This will be the most interesting exercise. So, can I take another 5 to 10 minutes so that we break and do the exercise? Okay, is that okay with you all? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So having talked about the competency architecture, then we are coming to competency dictionary. Everybody talked about dictionary. Now, what is it?
A list of competency different.
Right. You are very close to that list of competencies. Why should you have it? Every time I ask this question, always. But why should you have a dictionary there? How does it help employees in the organization?
With the dictionary, we could be able to find out the meaning of certain competencies.
Yeah.
Basically,
You
the
said
basic
it
meaning
right
of
now.
the dictionary.
So
Identifying the competencies.
So first
with
of
the right
all,
people.
understand competency dictionary is like a glossary. Okay.
Yes.
Now it will have all the competencies required by the organization at a job level, at a functional level, at an organizational level. What does it mean? It will have core competencies, it will have functional level competencies, and it will also have job specific competencies. Got it? A.
Yeah.
And these competencies, when you're doing a dictionary, they have to be organization context. What dictionary will be written for Talbros
Yeah.
will be only for Talbros because in that context. And what you will write, Sumit, for your organization will be in your context, organization's context, because every organization has its own dynamic environment, marketing, external factors, right? Having said that, so it is contextual and also organizational specific. And as I said, for every role, department, function, etc. And yes, he definitely said that it is a tool which can be used like a common tool, providing what? A common language. What I understand as communication will be the same as what you understand by communication. Because if I'm using communication as a key competency for recruitment, when I'm recruiting, I will use my own definition. And when you are recruiting, you will use your own definition. So the competency dictionary will provide you a common language so that everybody can understand and be on the same page or the same level. Very clear, guys? What is competency dictionary? Okay. Now we will see how to make it. You will make one. Okay, so that means what? It's a dictionary where you have all the it's like a reference. So you will have competency, and then you will have a definition, and you will have the behavioral indicators, so that I and you can understand the competency on the same page. Okay, now this is the process, but for example, why did I say it is very, very contextual and organization specific? So I want to give you an example. Say, for example, I'm taking customer orientation. First of all, how do you understand? I want to know from others. Hey, let others also speak. Customer orientation. What is the sense, or what kind of a meaning, or what do you understand by customer orientation? Say, if I say competency, customer orientation, a sales guy should have a customer orientation. How will you understand? What is that he needs to do? Anybody?
It is putting customer first. Like he should be ready to answer or resolve any difficulties which the customer facing.
Madam, are you reading it from there? No. Okay.
It is regarding the
So
services what you
it
are
is
providing.
understood that customer orientation means I have to be prompt in listening. I have to understand him. What is his query, etc. Now here, what I want to make understand is how it is very, very specific to the organization. I don't know whether anybody is in a service organization. I know Anshu is in a manufacturing organization.
Yeah.
How this customer orientation competency can differ. The meaning can differ for service organization and for a manufacturing organization. Are you with me? Now, in a service organization, typically you are offering services. So, what can be the meaning, or what can be the definition in a service organization? The guy will inquire, like you said. See, for example, the service, like, my Tata Sky is not working. Okay, it's a service, right? Huh? I have to get immediately, I raise a ticket, and I will say, hey, to the call center that it is not working. Then the customer service representative will call up, then she will inquire, then she will find out what is the difficulty. She will raise to the troubleshooter, and then ensure that the problem is solved immediately, or she will give me a time saying, ma'am, in 2 hours it will be solved, etc. Correct? That's where it is the service. All of you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in a manufacturing organization, I'm a customer care guy. Now, the sales guy has sold me what car do you have, Anshu?
Yeah.
What car do you have?
I have Accent. Hyundai.
So that you bought a new Accent, okay?
Okay.
So new Accent, but it's giving a problem. Now, the customer service guy, he can come, he will look at it. He can only explain about this problem ki kyun hua. He will only talk about technology ye hai, which is already there, but he can't do much about. It's a different way, right? It's already there. The technology, he will talk about the adequacy of the technology. So what I'm trying to actually tell you is how the competencies, it can be the same competency, but how they differ from an organization to organization, or from industry to industry, or like, for example, I'm giving you this example of a service organization and a manufacturing organization. That's why you can't cut, copy and paste competencies. They have to be worked out through the contextual route.
In case of manufacturing organization, we have to handle our internal customers also.
So I just gave a very generic example, but if I have to get into it, then you have to look at what is the role, what is the job, who are the stakeholders, so what are the things he has to do, right? So several things, and what does it take to, what is the kind of a knowledge or skill or everything. So that we will just slowly get into it. This is just to give you an understanding. Guys, 4-9. So that means what I will do is we will take a break, just a 5 minutes or 5-minute break is okay, or 10-minute break? Let us take a consensus. Okay, 10 minutes. All right. So all of you take a 10-minute break and please come back quickly, because then we have to do a competency dictionary. That's the best part, a challenging thing. Okay. This is an assignment, a group assignment, which all of you will be doing. First, I will give you a template, how to go about it, so that you can then also go and do it for your organization. Okay, guys. So we'll take a quick break of 10 minutes, bio break. Right now the time is 4:10. I want everybody to be here back 4:20. Agreed?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, guys. Are you all back? Are you all back?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Great to have you all.
Yeah, back.
Okay. So what you will be required to do now is a competency dictionary. Okay. You have to make a competency dictionary. Now, this is a group exercise which you will be doing now. Vilma will put you into a breakout room. Now, but you have to have clarity on what is it and how will you do. As I mentioned, competency dictionary will have a list of competencies with their proficiency levels. Now, the template, how you have to do it is use an Excel format. One person will share it in the group. The others will help that person to document it. So while you are using Excel format, use this title. That means now you are doing it for a function, particular function, which is HR, because you are very familiar with HR. 2, there are 6 participants. 1 is at the top level, career level, and there are people at the middle and also senior level. Now, what you have to do, you have to list out competencies. That's the first thing. Then you have to write definition for the competencies. So how many will you list out for your HR function? At a core competency level, 1 or 2. At a functional level, you will do at least 2, because we won't have so much of time. Now I will explain to you how you will do, and also I will give you an example. The example I have given here, let me just see. Say for example, communication. I have identified communication as one competency which is required by the job family HR. Got it? It's critical, right? All of you will agree? All are HR people. Okay. Now, in this job family HR, what you have to do, you have to look at 4 levels of hierarchy. 4 levels of hierarchy. I've given here 4 levels of hierarchy. Now, the 4 levels of hierarchy will be entry level. Let me just give you that hierarchy level also. Entry level. Yeah. So the 4 levels will be entry level, mid level, top, senior level, and top level. Now, like for example, I've written communication. Can you see very clearly? Now, under communication, I have written what is the definition of communication? The ability to effectively exchange information with stakeholders. So that's a typical definition of a communication. Okay, competency. Now, communication will also have some related competencies. What can they be? Tell me. Though I have written already a list. What are the other related competencies of communication? Written communication, you'll agree?
Yeah.
Presentation skills, persuasion,
Yes.
Diplomacy.
being very diplomacy, because this is a very broad level. Diplomacy, active listening, effective and timely feedback, then facilitation skills, meeting effectiveness, being very social media savvy, public relations. So these are all the related competencies for this communication competency. Generally, what are the behaviors? I've also written a list of behaviors. You can take a snapshot of this so that when you're writing, Behaviors will be provides clear, concise information, both verbal, written, listens actively, empathetically, delivers critical information to all stakeholders, seeks further information to clarify ambiguity, provides constructive feedback. You can take a snapshot, guys. So these are the list of behaviors. Now, what you need to do like this, for an entry level, will the proficiency level be low or high? It will be low, right? So what is it? Demonstrates support for HR organizations' initiatives in communication with stakeholders. Promptly responding to all stakeholders through written verbal communication. Produces accurate and error-free communication. Produces top quality reports and documents. Communicates policies, procedures. Resolves employees' issues. Uses discretion when communicating. Notifies higher management. So these are all the behaviors of this communication competency for an entry level HR function, who is also called an HR specialist. Okay. Now look at the top level. Just look at the behaviors. Do you think they should be the same or they should change? They should change because his nature of job is very different. He has to bring stakeholder management, lot of other things, strategy, policies. So look at the behaviors. Articulates the alignment between organizational HR initiatives and organizational strategy. Communicates corporate mission and vision to stakeholders. Creates strategy for a culture that fosters efficient and effective interactions. You can take a snapshot of crafts messages to be delivered to stakeholders regarding high visibility organizational issues, negotiates with stakeholders to reach best possible outcomes, then gets feedback and buy-in from at an executive level, that is CEO level stakeholders, develops strategy for organizational systems, delivers strategic messages supporting HR and business, builds support and inspires confidence through clear communications. So these are all the list of behaviors for a top level person who could be a GMHR or a CHRO or a vice president. So for communication, entry level you saw. Look at the senior level. So these are all for senior level. You can take a picture of this because all of you will be working on it, then you will know. And look at the middle level. So what I'm trying to say, the behaviors at an entry level, at a mid level, at a senior level, top level are different for this communication competency, depending on the level, right? Now, all of you are HR people. Now, what is the exercise for you? You have to take 4 competencies, which are job, not job specific, for this job family called HR. For this job family called HR. I only gave you one example, communication. I can also give you one more, saying that what consultation. Or I can also give you one more, HR at a knowledge level, you have to have the domain expertise, etc. Right? So think, all of you think together, write down 4 competencies just as the way I have written here. Okay? And in an Excel sheet, what you will do is, because I was not able to show Excel here, I put it like this, slide by slide. But typically what I want you to do is write like this. Create a dictionary format. Like for example, I have written communication. Okay. Then give here definition. Okay. Now, entry level. All those behaviors you have to write. Then you have to write mid-level. Then senior level. And then top level. top level. Okay. Now what will you write? Now here you have to take one more competency. So how many competencies you have to write? 4 competencies. And then for communication, you have to write here, say for example, if you want to write some sub, as I've written, sub competencies. Or you can call them as related competencies. And then write all of those behaviors. Okay. Now again, take another competency, write sub competencies and write the behaviors for this. So because of the time, maximum you can do, I think 2 or 3. Okay. Now all of you understand this HR so well. So therefore I said you can do this assignment, because unless and until you understand the function, and all of you are seasoned professionals. Any questions here, guys? Any questions about the clarity, about the way you have to present it? Please, any questions? Step 1.
See, when
What
we,
you will do?
when we see entry level, first we need
Step
to understand.
1, all of you brainstorm. Step 1, identify a list of 3 to 4 job function, job family, or HR function competencies. Got it? All of you brainstorm and say, hey, these are the 3 or 4 competencies which are required. Now, for every competency which you have identified, you can have 3 or 4 sub-competencies. Got it? Then, at an entry level, what behaviors? At a mid-level, what behaviors? At a senior level, what behaviors? At a top level. Entry level be like HR specialist. Mid-level will be like an HR manager, senior specialist. Top level will be like a general manager or director. And senior level. Top level will be head HR or CHR. Okay, guys? For every competency, top will be mostly strategy, policy, etc. The entry level guy is only supporting more tactical, etc. So your behaviors have to be written down like that. Behaviors also, for every competence you can write at best 5 behaviors. Very clear?
Nino, it is working.
Can I actually give my opinion on this?
Yeah, please.
I'm okay with domain management, because I will say, yes, it's very, very important to have HR practice knowledge, etc. But time management is actually a very sub-competency. So don't look at those competencies which are very, very, specific to certain roles. Look at broad. When you're looking at a function, look at broad competencies.
Okay. Thank you.
Now you reflect on that. Do you think time management is a very, across... you also have to look at a competency which will impact the stakeholders.
Can we make it analytical decision making? Because we have to analyze the lots of data and then we have to go for a decision making.
That could again come under a related competency, right?
Okay.
Look at it little broader. Say, for example, I'm looking at, say, for example, the entire HR has a high focus on relationship management.
We can say that training and development could be one big competencies.
No, it's a skill.
Okay.
Training and development will be, like a, more to do with, development. It won't be a competency for an HR function as such. Think a little more, stretch that brain a little. I can easily. Think
Flexibility.
at a very, wear the hat of an HR head or wear the hat of a CEO and say, hey, why does this HR function exist? What does it need to do?
How about leading and developing?
Absolutely. Leadership. Think of two more now. Oh, already one, two, yeah. So think of one more.
Maybe relationship.
Yeah, you can have relationship, that is because it's all people.
And one
I mean,
more
what are the various
competency for HR is confidentiality. That also we can think of.
Confidentiality will become a very small related competency.
Yes,
No?
yes.
No, think of it in the scope and scale. Say, for example, why do I exist HR as a function? What is your key? Culture effectiveness.
Culture, yeah.
Culture, you are the stakeholder custodian of
Yes.
culture.
Yeah, can we
Right?
say the compliance also? Or it will be again the sub point, compliance?
Yeah, compliance. Yeah, you can put it as, compliance, regulation, right?
Yeah. Because nowadays,
Regulatory, some aspect regulatory, maintaining this. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Regulatory.
That will come under domain knowledge, no?
But you can put it under a related competency of domain knowledge. True. Or a domain expertise. True.
because
Diversity and inclusion.
So just look at 2 or 3 because the time does not give you so much to look at so much,
yeah, it's okay. I think we should go in now the definition.
See, your definition can be very broad and small and simple. Absolutely no problem. Probably I will leave so that you all can think freely, maybe because of me. Okay.
Okay.
Ninu, can you add developing others in leadership as a sub-competencies? Can we start with the definition for communication?
Yeah, sure.
Communication.
Yes. Communication, I believe it's the exchange of ideas or the thoughts which you can effectively communicate with others. Do any other things apart from that? Anyone?
Yeah, simple ability to communicate precisely. We can say it in that fashion, no?
So if at entry level, what we can expect for a communication, that he will be able to communicate in a verbal and in a written manner effectively.
In case of communication definition, we can add the message also. Sometimes we have to communicate a message. And in that case, proper communication, effective communication is very important. Exchange of ideas, thoughts, and messages. Being HR personnel, sometimes we have to communicate the message of the management to the employees. With others or stakeholders?
With stakeholders, whoever it may be.
At mid-level, I believe that he should be able to give feedback and he should be able to do presentations for the planning, or he should be able to execute the things which has to communicate to the downline. Anybody else? Or it should be at the senior level, which you think?
Yeah, I think appropriately it will go and sit in senior level competencies, because mid-level we are assuming the manager HR or something like that. Again, it depends upon the size of organization. Because most of the time we have seen that those who are very lean organization, they do have HR manager at very senior level also. So
So we will keep ability to provide feedback in the managerial level, because he will be handling a team.
Organizations, there are not so many levels are not there in HR.
No, but
Exactly.
he, as the person will be at the manager level, he will be handling a team. So I believe he should be able to give a feedback at least.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
If you assume HR manager, I think it will be easy to communicate there. Then senior level, what we are assuming is the general manager.
Right.
Yeah. So we will let us focus on that designation wise, so it will help us to write easily.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Can somebody repeat?
No, it's okay. For mid-level, ability to provide feedback.
And senior level, ability to make some value addition in the written communication. Means from their side, some value addition is required.
Yeah. Ability to add value in organizational communication, cultural change, policies. No, he can always add something in there once it is decided at CHRO level. But more important point is that deciding part is different, but really very important is the communication and the drafting or make it in a framework. So these senior level guys can do that job. The CHRO is nothing but the policy maker. We can say that.
Yes, exactly.
So the senior level has to be more vast role in communication. Ability to add value, influence, change in policies, culture, etc. It's okay. And yeah, and CHRO level is a drive change and build organization. Now, I don't know whether it will sit there or build great place to work. Where it will go actually? I think they will decide the policy and hope so the execution will happen down the line.
Yes.
So how to write that in CHRO? No, build the culture for tomorrow or future ready organization. We say
Communication policy.
Yeah, to frame the policy, we can say that.
Policy.
Yeah, to frame the policies. To frame the policy.
Can you increase the font size a little? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, drive change, frame policies, build great place to work. Yeah, I don't know. Now, Nirmala has to help us whether we are on the right track or not.
Which one are you talking about now?
This top level communication. Can you just help us there only? So we don't want to go on wrong track.
Yeah. So for which one are you talking about? Leadership?
Top level, yeah.
Communication, CHRO.
See, typically I will tell you a nice secret of writing, a dictionary, the experts. So, say for example, you are writing whether it is leadership capability or leadership. You said leadership is something important as a competency. You have also written analytical thinking, decision making, developing others. Okay, fine. I will go with those related. Now think at a top level. What are you expecting from this HR function, top level, as a HR head, as a vice president HR? What do you think he has to do as a leader, right? Just think about it for your organization, because two of you are heading HR departments.
They have to make a strategy for the HR, which they have to
Absolutely.
communicate down
Which
the
has
line.
to be will you do it in
organization?
Will you do your strategy by yourself,
No,
or
no.
it has to be aligned with the business strategy?
It has to be
Aligned with
aligned
the
with the
business.
business
Aligned with the
strategy.
business goal.
So understanding, even as a leader, understanding of business is very important.
Yeah.
So some amount of business acumen is very important for the top leadership, even in HR.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Understanding business, etc. So think where that cap, like both you are already there. So the highest, so the behaviors which are related to that, first fill that top level. Then go to this last, that is entry level. What will an HR specialist be required to do at that level? Got it?
Yeah.
Then it is easy to fill up mid-level and senior level, because it is only the little bit of intensity or proficiency level you have to reduce. So typically when you are writing a dictionary, do the top, do the lowest, then do the mid and the senior. Got it?
Yeah.
So
just take 3 competencies, don't take more, because you know what happens, you will get confused then. No? Just take 3 competencies. I'll come back, and again I don't want to really prod you all. I want you all to stretch your head. Then I will pitch in to help you all. Okay?
Sure.
Because if I start, you will not stretch that piece of brain.
Correct. Yeah. Then business acumen will come there in CHRO. Because once they understand the business acumen, then down the line they will communicate, right? So that will help us down the line to make the execution plan around it. Yeah.
Leadership quality and top level, you can mention driving change.
Mm.
So you have already mentioned drive change.
Drive change.
Yeah.
Yes.
What it should be at entry level.
Analytical.
Ability to take
Leadership
decisions.
quality, entry level, it should be ability to speak in public, because they have to do the announcement in public.
Can we say good in public communication or ability to speak in public? I think
Public
ability,
speaking.
ability will
Public
show
speaking
that.
can be. Yes.
Exactly. The good in public
Yes.
communication.
Mm.
Otherwise, the moment we say ability, now it was the
Yes.
somewhere it is question mark.
Mm.
Yeah, public speaking.
And maybe mid-level.
Mid-level
Again,
lead projects.
could be projects.
Leadership mid-level will come what? The moment somebody is doing public communication, before that some validation should come to mid-level, no?
Mm.
What to communicate, how to communicate, strategy kind of stuff.
That is strategy for.
Mid-level leadership, you can mention developing others also.
Yes.
Mm.
Oh. And he should be team player in mid-level guy in leadership. In leadership.
He should be a team player. He should be team handling also.
Yeah. So the moment we said team player, so definitely he know how to make the team and how to retain the team. Can we
It should
add
be a conflict resolution also in the leadership
Conflict resolution
for
can
the
be
senior
go in
level.
senior level. Senior level.
conflict management, right?
Conflict management.
Conflict management. That is the right term, no? Yeah. And the leadership qualities, one more thing, which I believe, the transparency, right? It has to be in communication. It will go in communication also. The transparency in communication and on-time communication. It helps to reach to the team on time, to help them to understand and then have a limited confusion, minimum confusion in place.
Timely
So
communication.
so where do we add it? Timely communication and transparent in communication.
Mm.
Otherwise, what happened was sometimes somewhere some discussion took place
Yes, yes.
and it get filtered and unnecessary HR get into resolving that conflict of communication. No, this is what has been communicated. So it's always better. There should be transparency in communication, right from top to bottom.
Mm.
So how to add that here?
Okay, guys. So where are you now? Have you added more? Time is coming closer. You have just about 15 minutes.
We'll do. We are on right track, I
Okay.
believe.
I will help you with a little bit of, tell me where you need. Domain knowledge?
Yeah, we are about to start that only now.
Okay,
Yes.
so who are the thinkers who have worn the thinking hat? Quick. The domain leaders are there already. So essentially, if I say domain knowledge, would you look at what exactly are you looking at? As an HR function, you are looking at the definition could be having a knowledge of the entire, practices, the policies, the knowledge for the entire human resource function, right?
Right.
That's what you're looking at, no?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now think about it. If it is the entire procedures, practices of human resource function, then you will look at sub-competencies could be something like entire thing, talent management, compensation and benefits, employee relations, right? Strategic HR management. So these could be some of the things because under the domain, all these will come, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, having looked at that domain, look at the top. If you are an HR head or a VP HR at a top level, what are some of the behaviors? That means you are mostly then responsible for what?
Making
Ensuring
policies.
that the mission,
Vision.
you are aligning with the HR strategy. These are the behaviors you are looking at, right? So look at all
Uniform
of them.
policies, rules and regulations.
Then long-term, short-term plans of HR and how are they aligning with business strategy? How are you doing networking and also managing external stakeholders? Because as an HR head, you will have a lot to do with the external stakeholders, right? Regulatory and all that you have to manage.
Yes.
PF commissioner, there is something you have to go and manage. So think as a role what you're doing and put at least 4 or 5 things there. Then at a specialist level, what does that person do typically?
He ensure day-to-day compliance. That is very important.
See, then that person will do typically what day-to-day stuff, whether it is employee relations or a compensation or maintaining
adherence to compliance.
Right?
Yeah, adherence to compliance.
Managing compliances for all that, for your protection programs, implementation, right? Now, are you able to get how you have to kind of write those behaviors?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because in your organization, you will have at least in front of you the JD. Because in the next session, I'll be talking about how do you actually do job elemental analysis. So here, I'm only looking at, that's why I said functional, at a functional level, just at 4 career levels, typically what will be those things? So I gave you enough input, guys. Now you'll have to write. Or are you leaving it for somebody who is managing the Excel sheet?
Inu is writing it.
Okay.
For the entry level, I think it should be in the execution of the compliances, because he is will be only on the execution.
Yeah, ensure compliances.
Absolutely.
Execution, data entry.
Yes.
Data entry, report writings, absolutely.
Ensure compliance, diversity, inclusion. Diversity, inclusion, he can do the data management. So at least data is available, then decision can be taken. Compensation and benefit, I think he don't have much role to play here, right? Because it has been decided at very top level, executed by senior level.
Just to
He is
execute.
only monitoring it. Yeah, he has to only execute whatever decided. So he don't
Monitoring
have
in the
much role
mid-level.
over there.
Monitoring and updated.
Yeah. Yeah, and talent management,
updated.
definitely entry level guy has to. Yeah, data gathering and updating. That's it.
Updating the record.
And talent management, retention, execution of retention policies, making awareness about the retention to the team, reward and recognition. He has to play a great role in that on smaller part. No, R&R slash. You can put slash there and R&R, so it's okay. Okay, ठीक है. Rewards and recognition. In talent acquisition also, he should have a tie-up with the local colleges for the placement, partnering with local educational institute, ITIs or colleges, and hands-on on this
Even data searching
online portal.
from the
Yeah,
portals.
online portal.
Sourcing.
Hands-on
Sourcing
experience.
would be the skill.
Yeah, hands-on experience on this sourcing and contacts.
Yeah.
And then he should have that, referral scheme design or supporting something for referral scheme.
He won't be design the reference scheme, but can execute.
Yeah, he will not. He will not.
Execution.
Yeah. That's it. I think sufficient here. A lot of big basket came out.
Yes.
So then let us go to the top from there directly. So
Training
we can
administration.
write, framing policy.
Development, in case of
Yeah.
training and development, he can administer, he can organize and
Coordinating training activities.
Exactly.
Basically. Coordinate.
Coordination, yeah.
Can we put preparing a plan by coordinating with senior level? Training plan.
Yeah. Now you go to the this CHRO level for domain knowledge. So we can have to write something over there. So automatically mid level and senior level can be done. Sorry. Framing the policies against framing the policies.
Framing the policy will come again.
Right now. And they should do budget management also. Without budget, nothing can be done.
Definitely.
Yes.
Budget management.
Yeah, apart from the budget at this level, I think there must be some development action plan for leadership level. So that would be his main objective.
Budget management is a joint role of senior
developing
level.
leadership.
Developing leadership capability.
ठीक है ना? So that is
Or
important.
organization capability through
Budgeting
leadership.
and all these things can go into senior level, but CHRO level, maybe that would be better. Developing leadership.
We are mapping CHRO level only, budget
Developing
and leadership
leadership
development.
and succession planning, like
Yes.
bench planning, that would be his job objective actually. CHRO level.
No, budget we have put in CHRO level only, Anshu.
Budget approval, definitely at CHRO level. But
Yeah.
complete
But budget
budget planning
management
can
is
be done at
senior
senior
level.
level.
Senior level, budget management. Approval can
Budget
be given by the CHRO
Yeah.
in line with the business policy, business strategy.
Yes, yes. Now we have only mid-level.
Yeah. Now mid-level guy will just ensure what he will the
Your
second point.
mid-level can be doing behaviors which can be little higher than your entry level.
Entry level.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Absolutely.
Or even if you are looking at implementation of certain policies, at a senior level, you would be doing multi-level. Maybe at a mid-level, you are
Yes.
just doing 1 or 2, right?
G.
Okay.
Sumit, are you also participating? You're muted.
Sorry. Talent acquisition in the mid-level, manpower planning.
Where you were?
Yeah, exactly. There.
Right. Got it.
It's the role of a manager.
Nirmala, I am little bit confused by writing these things because I am finding like that I'm writing a JD. So is it a part of competencies for writing all these things?
No,
I heard that you are feeling it like a JD.
I'm feeling like writing all these things in competencies. I'm feeling like that I'm writing a JD. So I'm little bit confused for this.
So it is not exactly a JD because see here at different career levels based on the JD. Right now we don't have a JD there. Okay. How to analyze and do the analysis of a JD, I will tell you in the next session. But here I wanted you to appreciate and understand for a typical function, whether it's HR or a finance, how do you go about writing a HR competency directory? Okay.
Okay.
Now, having said that, I said step 1, we need to, so that step 1 is the focus. So I'm saying, hey, I want to do a CD for HR. Then I will look at what are the competencies which I'm looking at for the entire HR function. Now, these will be dependent on what is the HR supposed to deliver.
Okay.
Got it? But why did I not discuss that in detail? Because all of you are HR professionals. Some of you are HR heads. So you already know why does the HR department exist? What are their business goals? What are the outcomes or what are the results they have to achieve? Right? The first and the foremost at the top level is what that HR has to align with the business, and first and the foremost is ensure that there is what right talent at the right place to deliver results. Right?
Right.
But Nirmala, I think whatever Pallavi is asking is a valid question here. However, it is true that the competencies can be derived from the job description, from the JD. It is true. But just like manpower planning at mid-level. So manpower planning is one of the job description. So for doing a good manpower planning, what kind of competence? So that is basically we are trying to find out.
Again, there are
doing a-
sub-competencies.
Performing.
For
in this,
example,
maybe for doing a
manpower planning is a
analytical
skill,
required.
right? How do you go about doing manpower planning is also, so for doing manpower planning, what are the various things? You need
Yes.
to understand, hey, what is the forecasting, or
Yes.
what is the business, how is the business going to grow? So
Yeah.
if the business is going to have these projects, what are the skill sets required in how many numbers, right? What is my attrition rate? Or can I promote somebody more? So there's an entire skill involved in it, alongside with related competencies. So here I'm not probing so much into it, because when I will do competency mapping for every job, which is based on a job description, then I will explain to you how we actually translate a JD to elements to competencies. Okay. Here I want you to appreciate the fact that, hey, if by my understanding, by my seniority and experience, I know that an entry-level guy will do this, a mid-level guy will do this, and a top-level guy will do this, okay, in an HR function. So these are, so I'm looking at a function level competencies, which at every level you will be doing, and what kind of behaviors will be there. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
Okay. Anshu, there is still something I can clarify it. First you complete this, then we can just quickly, you have just 2 more minutes, guys.
Compliance and regulatory, in compliance and regulatory, at the mid-level, we can write the knowledge about the compliance.
Yeah.
Updated knowledge. He should be aware of the legal complications.
Yeah, diversity inclusion also, the mid-level guy can promote diversity actually.
Promote, exactly.
Yeah, because what happened, we decided at execution
Promoting
level.
to the recruitment procedure.
Yeah, promote diversity agenda. Yeah. And senior level, we can the same thing. Support short-term.
Managing the diversity agenda.
Yeah, managing the diversity.
Managing the diversity.
Challenges for
Yes,
this
yes.
agenda he has to handle.
Okay. Talent management. Talent management below. हाँ ठीक है.
Managing the diversity agenda.
No, she's confused now. Later.
Guys, you can just do 2, then we can discuss. Okay, just
Manage
complete 2.
under the no.
Just undo. You do undo.
Just undo.
You do undo.
Diversity agenda was at the right place.
Yeah, exactly. It's okay. Now here.
Here, managing the diversity agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
I will ask Vilma to close the breakout room so that you can present this and we can discuss quickly. Okay.
Yeah, Nenu, please save it.
Monica, I'm saying Vilma. Vilma. Yeah, if you can close the.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, guys, back. Everybody's back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So, who is going to present so that we can actually come up with the presentation and also the discussions around it? You had done. Nino is sharing. Nino, are you sharing?
Yes, that's my screen. Can you see it? I've already.
Yeah. It's visible.
Under process.
How come I'm not able to see? Right.
Fine.
Can you just increase the, because Make it little bigger. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, maybe you can leave out communication because we've already done communication, right?
Ji.
So those two competencies which you have worked upon.
Leadership and domain knowledge.
Leadership and domain knowledge. Okay. Who is going to present it? Leadership. Yeah. Anis, you want to talk about it or who's going to talk about it?
Yeah, okay. No issue. If team permits, shall I go ahead?
Yeah,
Please, anybody. So, I mean, the group has to take the initiative.
Okay.
Yeah.
No issue. I will go with the
Leadership
leadership.
is incomplete.
It's okay. The thought procedure of the team is that once we are talking about the competency of leadership, so these are the sub competencies are there. What we map it: analytical thinking, decision making, developing others, and conflict management. These are the
Okay.
sub competencies in leadership. What we thought. And entry level, we are not yet completed, but the thought procedure of team was that the
Okay.
entry level person will ensure that analytical thinking, definitely he will ensure the data management here. Then decision making, here he will support through the ground data management, what we say that, to help us the mid-level and senior level for lead projects or something, have a strategy on that. So whatever groundwork required, definitely he will contribute for that. And conflict management for sure is the public speaking, which is very important over there. So
Okay.
he will ensure the cascading of the mid-level and senior level communication, agendas, policies, something like that. These are the entry level competencies we thought. And mid-level, developing others, lead the project and lead teams. So these are the on leadership point, three things what we thought as a team. And senior level, set strategies for HR projects based on this, just now what we have discussed.
Okay,
So
one second. Yeah. So at a leadership, so at a top level, no, you said driving change. Absolutely. So I'm throwing one question as a devil's advocate. So when you said leadership, that means you want to build, leaders, like for example, Anshu was saying, we have to build leaders. We don't see that capability in our organization, right? And
Right.
so promoting leadership, building leadership. So that is one top competency which you feel that is required. Now, at a top level, as a head HR, or what do you think one drives change? Of course. Other than that, one more or two more behaviors, can you tell me? When you are building leadership?
yeah,
Being as a role model.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So how do you actually become a role model for other functions, right? Trying to create a role model, then
he
bring
should take
more
the OD
collaboration
exercise.
and ownership in terms of building leadership. Because you
Initiative
can't
taking.
keep, how do you actually develop leadership through ownership in this stakeholders?
Ownership,
So there's a lot of
initiative taking.
stakeholder management here.
Yeah.
For leadership.
Yeah. Can he lead the OD
At a top level?
exercise?
Absolutely. Change management is all about OD initiatives, right?
He can become a mentor
Initiative
also.
taking.
Pardon?
Yeah.
He can become a mentor also.
Come again, Pallavi?
Mentor.
Mentoring. He
Mentor.
can be a mentoring person.
Mentoring and coaching. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So I think I'm quite okay with, with the short time, because I'm going to deal with in detail and give you all exactly the techniques of how to go about. But you have done a good job there. Yeah.
Initiatives
Let's
for
see
new
domain
interventions.
knowledge. Yeah.
Initiatives for new interventions.
Yeah.
Already.
Okay. Let us look at domain knowledge, guys.
Yeah.
That's the easiest, in fact, because it has more of the knowledge component. You agree?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So in fact, I would say when we are talking about domain knowledge, So the entire HR function, typically I would define it as, having the latest current trends and practices with regard to the entire HR management, which will encompass entire thing like compliances, regulatory, diversity, inclusion. Yeah, you have written all that, comp and ben, capability, then talent management, etc. Absolutely. Training and development, which comes here as a domain knowledge. Okay. At the top level, yeah, please read.
Anyone wanted to attempt?
Yeah. So domain knowledge, compliance, regulatory knowledge. So at the entry level, a person needs to ensure the compliance.
Read the top level. Read the top level first.
Top level, I think we are missing in that. But definitely at this top level, we need to make a complete architect of compliances in the organization, so that at the junior level or mid or senior level, they can ensure and adhere the compliances.
Yeah,
so
we
this
can
is
say
one.
yeah, absolutely right. The
Because
commitment
at the
over-
senior level, we need to make a complete strategy and complete architect design, so that my compliance need not to fail at any cost, whether it is being done or execution or prepared by anyone, entry level, mid level. Second,
Especially for regulatory, you need to have a SOPs, timelines, lead.
yeah, SOPs, yes,
commitment-
timeline.
Yeah, and he
Audit
should
framework is also important. Audit framework
Yes.
for compliance.
So
Which
there are
will
a
be
lot
there
of
in
other
senior
competencies
level.
like diversity and
Senior level-
inclusion, compensation, benefit, talent management, talent acquisition, training and development. So in diversity and inclusion, data management at the entry level is required, and mid-level promote diversity, and senior level has to manage the diversity, and senior and CHRO level, top level, set the vision, mission, or like policies for the diversity inclusion in the organization. So
Like for
promotion-
example,
likewise,
when you talk about diversity, you might have certain percentage in diversity,
percentage,
male, female
so,
ratio, etc.
yeah, male, female
So that is at
ratio.
a policy level, which will
And
cascade down in,
yes.
in implementing that,
Yeah.
because when recruitment takes place, that entry level and also at a mid level, you will ensure that, hey, we have that, percentage of male and female ratios.
Yes.
Okay, great.
So likewise, we have made for other competencies also. If you want, I can read out. Otherwise,
Yeah. Succession planning, logical arrangements,
succession.
coordination, training activities. Okay.
Yes.
At the
Nirmala,
outset, I think you have kind of grasp. Now, Pallavi was mentioning, ma'am, I'm having a doubt as though it is a job description. I'll tell you what. Why did you feel job description? Because in the way it has written.
Exactly. True.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is an art of writing when you're doing a competency dictionary. All right. So because it is in the way written, so in your next session, when we are actually doing all that, I will also give you techniques as to how do you write them. Okay. Because it's very, very important. You may have everything in the head, but documentation is also very, very important. So therefore, you had this challenge of saying that, hey, it looks like almost like a JD. So just to give you a quick recap, guys, what we actually essentially the takeaway for you is you have understood what is competencies. So essentially there are two kinds, person-based and job-based. So when we are doing a competency mapping in an organization, we are looking at jobs across the organization at different levels and in different functions, looking at them and then doing a job elemental analysis and then mapping the competencies required for the effective job performance. Okay. Now, in our next session, what we were going to do is how do we go about doing competency mapping? That's a tool, that's a technique. Somebody wanted saying that we also want to know tools and technique. So we would be doing, you would actually be doing how to go about doing a competency mapping. Okay. Now, having said that, today we also looked at competency dictionary. As we know that dictionary is a glossary, which is a compilation of all the competencies which are required by all the jobs which are at different levels in different functions and different departments, so that I know that if these are all the competencies which are there across the organization, now somebody wants to refer, be it recruitment, be it performance, I know exactly that there is a common language through what we write as behavioral indicators. I tend to understand communication just as the way you will also understand it. So to create that common language and write it in simple terms so that everybody understands, and this is integrated into all the HR functions. So that is why you actually have to have a competency dictionary. If you don't have a competency dictionary, you will tend to do, or you will recruit a person by your own understanding, and another person will do it in his own understanding. So every organization, whoever has implemented competency mapping, will also have a competency dictionary. And competency dictionary can be for core competencies, functional competencies, then leadership competencies, and behavior competencies. So in our next session, we'll also talk about, when we are talking about behavioral competencies, what is this Qualcomm framework, where we can look at several behavioral competencies. Now, I'm also sending you, Vilma will be sending you one test, psychometric test, okay? It will assess your career drivers. Okay, it is a questionnaire with the projective test. It's an inventory test with 36 questions, and it's clearly explained how you have to do that. So do that, and keep your readings ready, so that we can also interpret, or you can mail it to Vilma so that it's ready there. You will understand your in terms of career drivers, which, whether it's material, whether it is originality, whether it is status. So there are 9 career drivers, and the way you take the test, it will indicate which are your 3 highest career drivers. Then it can also help you to plan your career. Okay, guys?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Now I have a few more minutes to clarify. If you have anything to clarify in this session, whatever we did. Anis, yeah. Your body language is showing that you had something, so I said yes.
Thank you very much.
Please tell me.
Let me put on the first thing. Really, you have taken this.
Your volume, speaker, just check next time. Yeah.
Let me put in that way. First, I have attended too many training sessions, but really you took us in very smart way and put out on deployment, and things are coming out where we are having some hesitations. Fantastic. As a trainer, you have done a wonderful job on this particular first session. And apart from that, there was a confusion about what rightly Pallavi says, JD, definitely we do feel that way, but yes, rightly you clear it out. The pattern.
In the next session, we are going to very clarify competency, JD or behavior. You will get the clarification. Okay?
Yeah, clarification will get. And another one thing which I want to do, normally we do competency mapping and skill matrix. So do you want me to think about these two are different module, or it is one module?
So I'm going to give you inputs in the next session. Okay? You should not eat too much more than.
No, it's okay.
Nirmala, I would like to share the career driver assessment sheet. Could you just give them an explanation on that, how to go about it? I'm just sharing the screen.
I will just go to that.
Is it visible?
No, you have it, or shall I open?
I put on the screen. Can you see it?
Okay. You have put it, is it? But I'm not able to see that. Can you make it bigger?
Yes.
Better?
Okay. So this career driver assessment is a psychometric test. Okay. It is called RSI instrument, Richard Scale Inventory. All right. It has 36 questions. Now, this Richard Scale Inventory is derived from, if people who are interested and passionate about reading, please read about Edgar Sheen. He's written a beautiful book on career anchors. Okay. Now, so this has 36 statements. If you can just scroll down a little, that's good enough. So every question will have A and B. Got it? Every question will have A and B. Now you have to share or divide your points between A and B, these 3 points. Not right, like, 3 there and 2 here. No, between the 2 statements. Now how? 1, A, I will only be satisfied with the high standard of living. Second statement, I wish to have considerable influence over other people. So for me, I'm a very material, I like to have, high standard of living. I will put all the 3 points there. Hell with influence, yeah, I'll put 0. But if I'm a person with no influence bhi thoda hai, so I'll put 1 and I'll put 2 there. Or if it is the other way around, but don't think too much. Don't use your analytical and logical brain. You give points by what? At the top of your mind, what is that you do naturally? Don't give analysis and logic and all that. Psychometric test is not supposed to be thought through a lot. What comes to the top of your mind? And do that. But don't give 0.5 and 2.5. Okay, I've seen people doing that. So no 0.5s and 2.5s. Give whole numbers, divide the thing. So if you see, you have to check again. Now 36 into 3 will be how much? 108 points. Okay. Now I want you to complete the form. Just scroll down. Yeah. So once you finish all this, you have a last page. Okay. Now come there. Now what will you do? You will look at all your A statements. So if you go through those 36 questions, there is something written A, B, or C, D, or E, F. So look at all your A statements and write down the points and total the points